Now this is Keeping Up with ED. Here we follow presidential diaries of the past week and unpack issues to do with the National Development Agenda, which is Vision 2030. I'm your host, Admaya Mungu. Let's get straight into business. The outgoing French ambassador to Zimbabwe, His Excellency Mr. Laurent Chavelet, has reaffirmed his country's commitment to strengthening relations with Zimbabwe. Now, after 4 years of service, the French ambassador to Zimbabwe, Mr. Laurent Chavelet, has bade farewell to the president, Emmerson Mnangagwa, as he concludes his tenure in the country. Over the years, there have been efforts to develop the economic ties between Zimbabwe and France. And after a closed-door meeting with the president, Ambassador Chavelet said he used the opportunity to reaffirm France's commitment to bolster relations with Zimbabwe in various areas, which include education.
We had the opportunity with Excellency to discuss about the partnership between France and Zimbabwe and our common will to reinforce the partnership and the fields of opportunities to develop it, especially in the economic sector. And I have the opportunity to reiterate to His Excellency France's commitment to strengthen the relationship in many fields, as we are already implementing a partnership in many fields like research, like cultural heritage, education, and we want to develop the areas of partnership with Zimbabwe.
President Emmerson Mnangagwa says the country is ready to welcome guests for the SADC summit and has warned those bent on spoiling the show of stern action. He said this when he commissioned the Holy Cross Dam and associated agro-innovation and rural industrialization projects in Chirumanzu, Midlands Province on Friday. Delegates who attended the SADC Industrialization Week have been impressed by the first family's best agronomic practices practiced at the pre-Cape farm in Kwekwe. Now, the first family is leading by example on the farming front after putting 300 hectares under wheat and 200 hectares under barley. Due to good agronomic practices, the first family is anticipating an average of 8 tons per hectare on their crop, which has been reaching the milk dough stage.
We really admire the Zimbabwean leadership and the people, because despite of the sanctions, you are doing this. The first responsibility of a leader is to feed his people. So that's what, and this is just amazing what I saw here. And in DRC, we have been hearing that agriculture must be the first of all priorities, but we still need to make every effort to get there. So I have, stories to bring home, and about the sanction, that SADC Secretary, at every forum that we go, especially in the Western world, we call for the end of the sanction.
Government has sent off the first batch of over 500 beneficiaries of the Presidential Scholarship Program who are going to study various disciplines in more than 7 countries across the globe. Now, this Friday, a batch of 500 students was sent off to various countries, with government acknowledging this as a culmination of good diplomatic relations between Zimbabwe and other countries. Now, the students are leaving to study computer science, biochemistry, medicine, media and communication studies, among other disciplines, in Cuba, Serbia, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Russia, and Malaysia.
We celebrate the pursuit of knowledge and the boundless potential of Zimbabwe's youth. That's you all here today. I'm proud to note that the KNB scholarship is open competition for students from all developing countries in the world. Therefore, For those Zimbabweans who admitted or got scholarship from KNB, you have been awarded the KNB scholarship are truly among the best and brightest in the world.
Zimbabwe plunged into mourning once again due to the passing on of the late national hero, General retired Jack Mpofu, born Maketi Ndebele. Comrade Ndebele was laid to rest at the National Shrine on Monday, the 5th of August, 2024.
Let us never forget that it is through the selfless and consistent sacrifices made by cadres such as the late Comrade Maketi Ndebele and the many other departed heroes and heroines that Zimbabwe continues today to enjoy its sovereignty, independence, unity, and development. In their honor, let us remain vigilant and united across every sector of the society towards safeguarding, preserving, and promoting our national interests.
We take a short break. We will be back shortly. This is Keeping Up with ED. Welcome back. This is Keeping Up with ED. Now, production of steel billets, which are an intermediate form of steel, is expected to commence in a week's time under the phase of the Dinson Iron and Steel plant in Manize. Now, this was revealed when a delegation from the SADC Secretariat toured the facility this Friday. This is the story of Dinson Iron and Steel plant in Manize, a project that is expected to create upstream and downstream benefits for industry and the African region at large. Now, this Friday, a team from the SADC Secretariat toured the project where it was briefed in the progress in the production of iron and steel at the plant.
We are within the target as what we have planned for in terms of the construction and production. So far, we have started producing what is called pig iron. Pig iron is the raw material which is going to be used for the steel billet. So, in other words, what we say, steel billets, these are very important component in terms of production of steel components.
According to the SADC Secretariat team, the project is testimony to relentless pursuit of excellence, which no doubt it speaks to the SADC's industrialization agenda.
We see one of the testimony of the infrastructure at life, because there is a component of energy here, there's that component of the value chains that we have been advocating for, because the iron ore from Zimbabwe is now being converted into the steel for utilization for here in Zimbabwe and other parts of the region. So for us, this is one of the plant that shows that the industrialization is alive, and Zimbabwe is taking this as a leader of the incoming chair of SADC. They are also showing that this is doable, the issue of the value chains, especially for promotion of industrialization.
Non, le projet est très intéressant. It's a very interesting project. I saw they have developed one they're starting, and I think by the finish it will be a very good project for development.
The plant, located at the confluence of Midlands, Mashonaland East and Mashonaland West provinces, is expected to produce about 600,000 tons of iron and steel per annum under the first phase. Now, since the commissioning of the Dinson Iron and Steel plant in Manize, several success stories have been recorded and managed to speak to the beneficiaries of this great initiative, who express their gratitude thanks to the Second Republic, led by His Excellency President E.D. Mnangagwa.
ine ndonzi tambudzai Dube ndobva kuSvishavane. Ndiri crane operator, ndinooperator mobile crane yamuri kuona yakamira apa. Ndini mudzimai wekutanga muZimbabwe kuti operator ichochi. Panapa ndinoda kutenda zvikuru semutungamiriri wenyika neproject yavakatiunzira munyika medu. Iyi yatisimudzira tadzidza zvakawanda. Mishini imwe yakadai mune dzimwe nyika yedu imwe yanga yaisimo asi taionawo nekuda kweproject tikadzidza pari zvino tava kugona kuishandisawo. Ini hangu ndakazvimiririra semudzimai ndinoda kutenda zvikuru sei nekuti ndiri kuonawo ndichikwidziridzwa semudzimai, handisi kutorerwa pasi asi ndiri kungoenzaniswawo nevamwe vashandi. Ndinoda kuzvitenda sei.
Now join us in the third segment where we will have a guest who will help us discuss His Excellency's assertion to the SADC chairmanship. This is Keeping Up with ED. Don't go anywhere. Third and last segment of your program, Keeping Up with ED. We're now joined online by economic consultant Farai Zijo, who's here to discuss on the appointment that will be coming very soon, which has Zimbabwe on a high. That is the President, Comrade ED Mnangagwa, becoming the SADC chair. Farai, it's good to have you on the Keeping Up with ED, the big program.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely. Farai, tell us exactly what does it mean being SADC chairperson for His Excellency?
A SADC chair is basically three functions. The first one is an administrative one, and this has to do with the normal business of SADC as an organization. He is working with the secretariat in that regard. Secondly, he has to promote the interests, the social, economic, and political interests of the people of the region. And then thirdly, he has to become the face of SADC. The face of SADC in dealing with other regional economic communities in Africa and the world over, as well as, of course, when we talk about the United Nations, when we talk about, in fact, any issue which has the interests of regional economic communities at heart, he will be representing SADC.
Mm-hmm. Now, how long will this appointment be, and what are the key areas? I mean, in your view, what are some of the key areas that he then is faced with?
The SADC chairmanship is 1 year on a rotational basis. And from my own perspective, what he should be concerned with are areas such as, one, food security. We have seen what a drought can do to the region. Two, energy security. We have also seen the impact of drought, especially for countries like Zimbabwe and Zambia, which rely on the Kariba Dam. But of course, energy security is important for all countries, and South Africa, as our biggest economy, is actually feeling the pinch. So he needs to deal with that issue. Then thirdly, he has to deal with the issue that was started in Zimbabwe, the issue of industrialization. That is a continuing struggle, and we cannot let go. Then fourthly, he has to deal with the issue of technology development. It is my earnest view that for us to compete at a world scale, we need to develop our technology to the best of our abilities, taking into account the resources that we have, both in terms of minerals and in terms of agricultural output.
Now, let's look at the SADC region in itself. What is the significance, the global significance of the SADC region as vis-a-vis world economics and world politics as well?
Well, Currently, in terms of industrial production, we are a very small part of the world. But in terms of the mineral wealth, not just minerals for the sake of calling them minerals, but critical minerals, SADC is a very important player. I can mention platinum, where Zimbabwe and South Africa actually have close to 80% of the reserves that are in the world. We can look at lithium, which is a new energy mineral, where Zimbabwe currently occupies 5th or 6th place in the world. But I can assure you, with the developments currently taking place in the country, we are bound to improve our position, probably to 3rd or even 2nd. We can also see the DRC, a leading producer of cobalt, which is also a new energy mineral. We can see, of course, South Africa, it goes without saying, in terms of production of gold, one of the leading countries. Diamonds, where we have got Botswana being one of the leading countries in the world. And then we also have even gas in Mozambique, where we are looking at vast amounts of gas that are currently under development in the Indian Ocean part of Mozambique. So we are a big player as far as resources are concerned, but we are not a very big player as far as actual production is concerned. And that actually calls for us to develop what I call industrial value chains. It is vitally important that we actually, as a region, cooperate.
And Zimbabwe is leading on that. Of course, seen as in terms of the things that have been done by the Second Republic over the past few years. Now, in terms of what you talked about, the issue of the roads construction, the infrastructure construction that is currently underway, and a lot of people are attributing it to SADC, but of course it will go way beyond the SADC summit itself. How important is it to develop one's infrastructure? Do you think we are in the right direction as a country?
Absolutely. The first thing is infrastructure plays 2 roles. The first role is, of course, an economic enabler in terms of movement of goods and services, across the country, as well as providing access to others, especially if we are looking at movement of goods from South Africa to countries such as Zambia, DRC, Malawi, in some cases even some parts of Tanzania. So Zimbabwe is an access route, so the importance of good infrastructure cannot be overemphasized. Secondly, infrastructure development on its own should spur industrial development. And here I'm using the word should advisedly because sometimes it doesn't happen. But it is supposed to lead to the consumption of products such as steel, tar, cement, and so on, which are industrial products. And these are supposed to come from the region. So infrastructure expansion is actually a big push for mineral development, for value addition and beneficiation of the region's natural resources.
Not forgetting jobs, because you find that, yeah.
Of course. It's a big job creator. We have already witnessed that in Zimbabwe.
Mm-hmm. Now, in terms of the whole big picture, Mr. Zijo, in terms of economics, in terms of industrialization, in terms of the SADC region, where do you find us as the SADC region going now that we are, focused on industrialization?
I see the region actually focusing on some key areas which can spur competitiveness at a world scale. My own belief is that we have got a serious abundance of medicinal plants in the region. We also have indigenous knowledge about these plants. So what is lacking is scientific inquiry into these plants. And I believe that this can be done at a regional level, where the innovation hubs, some of which have already been established in Zimbabwe, can all be come together from South Africa, Zimbabwe, and wherever, and actually work to extract the chemical and pharmaceutical properties of our medicinal plants. And that will spur regional industrialization. It will spur health development in the region, and it will spur technological advancement of the region and competitiveness.
Mr. Joe, an economic analyst and economic consultant, thank you so much for joining us on Keeping Up with ED.
It was my pleasure.
Definitely. We've come to the end of Keeping Up with ED, where we do nothing but follow the President's vision, as well as the appointments and his activities throughout the week, and bring them to you and link them to the national vision, which is growing an upper middle income economy by the year 2030. My name is Admaya Mungu. Thank you so much. See you next time.